technically speaking, I ain't talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, making money on the side, but I use it for the main.
Here's the clown. All right. So today's lesson is really about UCCX. Let me go to my DevNet here. So UCCX is Cisco's like contact center solution. And basically what that it sums up is it's for call centers. You know, if you have a bunch of agents that take various numbers of calls, then you want to have a certain like call queue. You want to have certain operators when you call the line and say, press one for sales, press two for marketing. You want to have all that. And behind all that technology, at least on the Cisco end, is UCCX. And it's really for small businesses or medium-sized businesses, nothing where it's a really huge company, probably like T-Mobile is a huge company. So we probably wouldn't use UCCX, which stands for Unified Cisco Communications Express. That's what the X stands for, Express. I don't know if it's up here. Let me see, General. Maybe you guys can see a little bit here. This is the newest version, software version 12.5. We did talk about yesterday our CUCM, which is our call manager. And our call manager is to house all of our call processing configurations, all of our devices and our users that make and receive calls on our network. Now, we have another solution, another server, which is called UCCX. And yes, we still have our call manager there working in the background to house all those calling restrictions and calling configs, but UCCX is specifically for contact centers, for call centers, for folks that have a team, and for agents that need to take these calls. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in a call center, but I have. That was like my first like corporate job, I guess you can say, or white collar job. And I worked for AT&T, and we sat in a building with a whole bunch of other agents in these cubicles, and we literally just took calls as they came in. It wasn't any of us dialing anything or pressing anything. It just came into the phone, came into the computer automatically. And we would just take the call and we can end it or pause, transfer, conference, whatever we want. And it was customer service. And I also work for Netflix and Apple doing the same things. Just customer service. Hey, thank you for calling Apple. Thank you for calling AT&T. Thank you for calling Netflix. How can I help you? Right now, when I was working that, I really didn't care about the technology that was happening. I just came into work, clocked in, took my calls, took my break, my lunch, took my calls, went home, right? Rinse and repeat. But as I came into the tech side and specifically the networking side, and more specifically the voice network side, I actually started to set up these contact centers, these call centers on the back end, doing all the routing logic to say, for instance, if it's a Saturday, then you can only call between 12 and 8. So maybe if you call at 8 a.m. into the call center, then you'll get a recording saying, hey, we're closed right now. Please call back at 12 p.m. or we can give you a call. We'll do whatever we wanted, or for instance, when a call comes in and it's trying to hunt for available agents, I'm in the background creating those agents for the call to be, um, queued to, right? Creating these call queues. And I found it very interesting because I came from the bottom of taking the call, and now I create the logic for when the call comes to the computer. Um, it's kind of convoluted. It is a rabbit hole going into the voice sides with Call Manager and UCCX and even the other servers. But this one right here can definitely get very deep. So we're not going to go into all of the components of UCCX. We're just going to go through some things. In my current job, we don't use UCCX. So it's been a minute since I've been in it. However, I'm still gonna give you guys a tour of what this server looks like and the things that you can do with it. All right. Now, just going through, I don't know why that's showing up. Just going through some of the basic things that we know. When you want to access one of these servers, Call Manager, UCCX, or any server in that perspective, as far as on the voice networking side, you have to connect your VPN. I am connected to the Cisco AnyConnect VPN, which usually you probably will if you're in a Cisco environment, or the company may have their own VPN for you to connect to. But in order to get to one of these servers, you have to be on the company's network, which is usually at the site if you're at the office, plugged in to that internal internet, or you are have a VPN. Okay. Now you have your VPN. And let's say this is, your first time, you're new engineer on the job, or you're just doing some discovery. What they will do, your team or your manager will give you administrative credentials. Okay, these credentials will tell you what the server name, call manager, publisher, call manager, subscriber. Remember, we have publisher and subscriber call managers. Our UCCX, our Finesse, our CUIC, which is where we run reports, collaboration platform. I am in presence, CUC, which is Unity, that is our voicemail, and some other things, right? They will also give you the username to those servers. Usually it's not, well, sometimes it is administrator, or it's probably like Cisco administrator or CCM administrator, something very basic. But the password shouldn't be this basic. The password probably would be something that came out of like, I don't know, some password generator or something, I don't know. But it won't be this. It'll be a combination of things, but they'll give you both. Up here, we have our actual, websites that you can access the server. You can access the server, through the HTTPS website. Um, and that's usually how you would want to do is if it's not a website, which we call a FQDN, fully qualified domain name, which looks like this, right? www dot some something something. Or you have a IP address, be like 10 dot like something like this, 10.10.20.100. That will usually be, you can just take that, put a HTTPS colon slash slash, put the IP, and you'll get to it. But sometimes they will have a website you can go to, a nice domain name, like as such. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're connected to VPN, you have these logins, and then you can go and start discovering. Um, but if they don't give it to you automatically, you will have to ask. So just make sure that you know to ask for login credentials. Okay. Now I did create some document over the past couple of years. So we're just going to go over some document just to kind of see you know, these notes, and then we'll go into the servers and just poke around, right? Nothing too crazy. We probably won't configure anything. We'll just, like I said, just do some discovery and see what's going on. So this is one of the documents that I got from my training when I started to become a voice network engineer. And as you can see, it has table of contents and it has basically everything, well, not everything, but most of what you need. How we create the UCCX virtual machine because it is a server. That server is virtualized. It's in the cloud. It is not physical. So we take from a physical server, we create a virtual machine and that's UCCX, just like Call Manager. And then they have the installation. We have creating UCCX administrator users, which is people who can create configs and can delete configs from the server, which will be you and other engineers on the team. Creating agents, the people who are part of the queue, the contact center, the call center, users. We're going to put up CTI ports, which is a I would say a dummy number so we can translate numbers from one system to another. almost like API, you can say. Um, and then we got certain things that you can create in the editor. Well, downloading the editor and basically creating certain things with it. If we scroll down, this is a good document as I'm looking through it because it gives you images and step by step on how to actually spin up a server, a UCCX server to be exact, from VMware and utilize it as your own. Now the thing too is you may have to um, well, I think you always have to get some type of like software licensing from Cisco to use their product. So that's why I'm showing you guys this Cisco product in a lab environment because I would have to pay for the software, which can run thousands of dollars because it's for businesses. Um, and I don't have a need for this. But yeah, so you'll log into VMware and whatever they tell you, everything that you have to do and how you create a virtual machine. You go in, you create, they're telling you the settings here, which I think these settings are specific to the training because it was their servers we were working on. But it still gives you an overall if you wanted to take a stab and build your real life own, get a server off Amazon, eBay, or something and build this up. Like that's hardcore skills. You're basically becoming like a systems engineer, systems architect, a network architect. Like you're getting real deep if you go start from this end. Um, and again, it gives you the photos as you can see of what's happening. So as we create this UCCX server and even the call manager server, these are the steps you're going to see because we're going to spin up. I don't know if you guys have ever built a virtual machine. If not, we do have it in the Discord, steps to go through. So you can at least build one, something simple, just probably like a Windows server, and just so you can go through the steps because you'll literally, have a bootable file, which is the software, which is Windows software, and you would install it. And you see, you'll install it CD, DVD drive, but obviously it'll be a file that's on your computer because we don't use CD-ROMs anymore. But basically, you'll click on that to make sure you download that file. Once it's downloaded, you can power on the machine. And once you power on the machine, you're going to open the console, which is your CLI line. And when you open that, you will see like steps to walk you through how to configure this server. So it's going to tell you a couple things, and you're just going to go through it based off of the documentation. We've already selected the correct file, which is for the contact center. So it's only going to show contact center and click OK. You're going to click OK, just go through it, right? This, you cannot use your mouse. You only can use your keyboard because it's like going back in the old times. So you can't use certain things. So you just got to click continue, use your up arrow, down arrow, all those things. You click your time zone, and this is exactly what it will look like. It may look a little better, but most of the time, this is exactly. The screen may be black, this may be white, it may not actually be blue, but this is what you will see. And this is what you'll go through, having to put a host name, IP address, the subnet mask, the gateway. So you still have to have your networking knowledge, in order to be successful in voice. You have to know about, DNS and IP addresses and what's a gateway, If you don't know these simple things, then you have to start back at the CCNA level. But yeah, so again, this is really good. I like how this is going through. Okay, so as you go through everything and it finish, and it will start to install. This looks like a regular CLI line, and it will tell you log in, and you're able to do your login and work through the CLI. But we like our GUI, graphical user interface, so we'll go to a browser and type in www. HTTPS and put in the IP address that we just assigned, or the the domain name that we assigned, that we configured in these steps above, and we'll be able to go here. And as you can see, these give you steps on how to create a user and how to do certain things. You see, we're going to log in, use these IPs. Very, very good. I'm going to keep this one out. This one is about bank scripting. Now, I did a lab on creating like creating like a queue for a bank. So when the bank, either someone can press 2 to talk to a bank teller, press 3 to talk to uh, a banker or something, you know. Um, and so, you know, it was just a lab. So we're just setting up some scripts, and the scripts was, you know, if you want to do condo loans, and it had, you know, whatever the voice will say about condo loans, whatever information you have, that is actually recorded, and we record that file just like an audio record, like you send in a voice message on your iPhone or something, and we save that audio file and we upload it to our UCCX server, and we say, hey, this is a script that we want to use. We're going to put it in our database of scripts. So when we are um, configuring how we want our call flow to be, to say, hey, press 1, do this, press 2, do this, press 3, do this, we can say, hey, when we say press 3, I want it to run the condo loan script. So we'll click on condo loans and it'll already be in our database. But we have to upload these scripts before we can use them. Okay, and townhome loans, you know, just they're just making up stuff at this point. Single family loans, SUV loans, all type of loans. And in my experience, we usually get someone that has a really nice voice to do it. Um, Sometimes it's definitely not us. It's usually from the person who's the requesting the setup, because we're engineers. We're just here to configure the setup, but you tell us what you want. Just like coders, like software developers. They don't just start going in and start coding what they want. They come in and they say, "Hey, what would you like me to code?" And then the client will say, "I want an app, a mobile app. I want that mobile app to be, you know, a booking app." So we'll code a booking app. Now, as a voice network engineer, the customer or the client says, hey, I want a contact center solution, and I need when the caller calls, I want them to go through menu options, and I want the menu options to all be different. I want one menu option to talk about SUV loans, and another menu option to do this and do that, right? And then I'm the engineer to say, okay, I know what you want. Let me configure it and build it, and then we can test it and see if that's something that you want, right? So we're literally putting in the scripts of whatever the customer wanted. The customer wanted a script that says, hey, you know, if you want to do US Bank, please do whatever. That doesn't come from our voice. That's somebody who on the customer end. Now, if we there's one job that I worked at where, you know, we were involved more with the company. The company was the one that wanted these things changed. So again, we would choose someone that has a good voice. So someone's like, hey, let's say I work for T-Mobile, and they're like, hey, can you change our main T-Mobile, you know, greeting line? Be like, yeah. Now first I would be like, hey, what who recorded the last greeting? And if she's fired or gone or whatever, she didn't exist, then I would find someone who has a voice similar to that. And I would be like, hey, can you do this script for me? Most of the time that could be a project manager. That's somebody probably in the tech. Or if you have, you know, did good with your social skills, then you know, you probably meet somebody in HR, meet somebody in a whole nother department, and they have a good voice and they'll just do it for you. Um, but moving on, creating contact service queues. So we also are configuring our queues here. It tells you Really good, really nice. I like this document. Let's move along. This is the bank scripting as well, I think. Yeah, so we don't need that. Let's exit that. And then this is creating main menu. Okay, yeah, we don't need that. Okay, this was a lab, another lab that we did, basically creating another queue. This was good because it had pictures about like, how to put it, put it all together. Um, and step by step, as you can see, it's telling you click on call manager, click on add in your username and password, log in. Um, and it's telling you IP communicator. We don't really use Cisco IP communicator anymore. Well, at least the last two contracts that I've been on, they definitely phased that out years ago. But before that, the other contracts, it wasn't too long ago, it's probably 2 years ago, they use communicator a lot. And basically what it is it's a soft phone, as you can see. Um, it's a phone that soft phone means a software phone. It's not hardware. It emulates a real phone, a hardware phone, just like a virtual machine emulates a real computer machine. And as you can see, it's we use it for testing. We use it for obviously labbing and learning. Um, Usually not for the client, not for the customer, not for the agents. They usually have something more of what's called Jabber or Finesse. It's a software built to manage actual agents taking their calls and who's in idle, who's in available, who's on their break. The manager can run reports on that. This right here, this is more, again, testing type of ordeal. So as you can see, it's great for testing because if we're setting up a call center or setting up agents, we can, clearly see what they see just in a software type of way. So it's great to troubleshoot. And this right here, again, it's just telling you how to add these users in. It's really good. Like I said, I really like this. This basic call flow, really nothing too crazy. Just tells you basic call flow, high level. Um, don't really need to know too much about that. Like I said, we're not going to get deep into all the parts of UCCX. We're really just getting introduced to it. This was a checklist that I used for one of my contracts. It was at a hospital actually, and for some reason they just always wanted their script updated. They just always wanted something updated, whether their time of day, hours, or a certain, I don't know, just something updated. So I kind of made like a little checklist, some notes to help me every time they want something changed. I just know exactly, the resource and how to do it without me going through, you know, a whole bunch of just random notes or trying to remember what I did last time. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of like step by step. Again, I don't want to get too deep, but you're basically just preparing the script, the files, and these files you're making sure that they're downloaded to your computer already. You already got them. You listen to them, and they actually sound good. It's not distorted or whatever. And then once you do that, you're just going to make sure that you update it, update the script. Once you update the script, you're going to apply the script. You're gonna go through the script in different options, time of day, like I said, routing to this agent, routing to that agent, routing to the voicemail, however how it's set up. But the whole point of doing all of the configurations and at least this little file here, this document, is to really make sure that you debug your script, which means that you just run it through what we have. It's a button that's called debug. And we literally just, it checks the errors. It makes sure that everything is a correct logical flow. So we're not just updating anything that we think, um, we're not just uploading anything that we think that just works. Like, no, we're going to put it together what we think just works, run the debug command, and everything checks out, there's no errors, then we can actually add it to production. Okay. A lot of times people miss this. I don't miss debugging because I feel like I never know what I'm doing. So I just do what I think and then I'm like, okay, let's see. Hopefully it comes back with no errors. Like that's usually like the first thing I'm thinking about is like, all right, let me, create this script so it doesn't have any errors at the end when I debug it. But there's people who've been in this position for 10 plus years and will never run a debug command. And I don't know, that's them. Um, and again, it's just some other stuff. And then what's this? Oh, updating UCCX cert dot. So on my first contract ever, I was tasked to update the certificates on these servers on the call manager, CM, and this contact center, UCCX. And I never done it before. I didn't even know the first step. So I had like a support team that helped me remotely. We were all remote, and I would just ask them questions. I would do my own research, and I would just ask them questions, be like, okay, where should I look here? What should I do there? Boom, boom, boom. So I did all my research. I was playing around in their environment, looking at YouTube videos, all type of stuff. So I came up with some of these questions, be like, hey, can you just answer this for me so I know, that my plan is good to go. So one of my questions was, if only UCCX is effective, would I have to verify or do anything with Call Manager? And at that time, they were asking me about, well, you have to update UCCX certificate. Um, you may need to update everything else. And so from the YouTube that I was watching, they didn't say that. They said one server is affected, has nothing to do with the other servers. They're all have their own certificates. What is a certificate? For example, when you come to a browser like this is the Brave browser, it's the decentralized Chrome browser. You will come up to this URL line and you'll see a lock, right? This lock is saying that it's secure. It's secure um, based off of certificates. You see, the certificate is valid. The certificate is saying that, hey, you are able to utilize this platform is able to be utilized and licensed out. It's not stolen, it's not some hacked site. We validated this. Who is we? Who validates the certificate? Usually Microsoft. But we usually have someone, because we're in the tech department, we have a server guy, server girl, usually server guy, who will validate these certificates for us. They'll validate it based off their own credentials of something. I don't know how it goes. I'm not a server person. But um, it's validated by someone with authority and is validated with fingerprints. So you may see, if you're dealing with certificates, this SHA-256. If you're dealing with security, period, you're going to see this algorithm, SHA-256. It's the most current algorithm out here, and it literally just, deals off of uh, hashing out hashing out the data. So it's not, easily decoded in some, better words. Regardless, the certificate validates the um it validates how the server is authentic, you can say. So yeah, I had to update these. I didn't know where to start. Again, I did all my research. So I asked, they came back and said most likely no, these will be locally significant. And again, that's what I watched on YouTube. So clearly that was good. After I download the CSR, do I need it to be a local CA via email? Do I send it to the local CA, which is the certificate authority? That's the CA. The CA is, like I said, the person who authorized the certificate that says that, yeah, you can use it because you can use this server because it's valid. Um, and then they came back and said we need to find out who the CA is. The method is to contact them could be found on their website. Now, before I could even go to their website, uh, which was the site that I downloaded the certificates from, which is the site my company gave me, they actually told me, like, no, we have a server guy who acts as our own CA, our own certificate authority. Um, so I just emailed it to him, emailed both, all the certs that I downloaded. I also said, what is a root certificate and what I needed. There was a lot of back and forth about that online. So I just was like, hey, can you just answer this for me really quick? Back then, we didn't have Chat GPT because I could have Chat GPT'd all these answers, all these questions. But we didn't have AI back then, at least prevalent from my perspective. So I was just literally asking them Googleable questions. And they came back, they told me the root certificates, woody woody woo. Do I restart certain things? What should I validate? Just the Tomcat, just restart it. And then lastly, I asked about opening a TAC case. TAC is Technical Assistance by Cisco. That's what that stands for. It's anybody with a Cisco product that pays for a Cisco license. Automatically, I don't know if they automatically, but usually they have a Cisco representative, a Cisco technical representative that assist them whenever they need help. And most likely it's not, I won't say most likely, but usually it's not like one representative, it's like a group, a tech group, like tech support for paying customers. And we can put in a P1, a P2, a P3. P1 means, hey, you need to drop everybody else. Come take my call because it is, code red. And then obviously it trickles down with P2 and P3. Um, and P3 can just mean like, hey, I just need help. And that's what I put out here. I put out a P3 to Cisco TAC to say, I just need some help just to tell me that I'm doing things the right way. Because this is Cisco's, stuff. So from Cisco, the experts, they can at least tell me if I'm going to upload, if my plan to upload these certs is correct or not. Am I missing any steps? And honestly, I'm gonna just be quite frank. They were helpless. Like I wrote down everything and she was like, "Yeah, you're good. Here's some links you can go to, some references." Basically they were Cisco links that I already had in my doc that I gave her. Um, and that was it. And I'm just like, well, and I still messed up on that task. Anyway, so we have our communications manager and we have our UCCX. Let me come back to here. Our UCCX interface. Now we need to go into, you may have an Excel sheet if you're at work. I'm in a lab, so I'm going to go to my sheet of credentials and log into my systems. What I like too about voice is I like the GUI. I like being able to put in passwords as such, click on log in and go through certain things. Not sure why that is doing its thing, but I think it didn't come to the right thing. Let's try it again. Sometimes you get that when it times out. I've kind of been bumping my gums. So just a refresh. A lot of times it don't work in certain browsers. Okay, let me get out of here. So you would have to literally maybe put this in like your there we go, now I'm logged in. You may have to put this in your like instead of Chrome, maybe Microsoft Edge. Instead of Edge, maybe it was something else that we had. Usually people don't use Safari because we're Windows people. Like don't nobody use a Mac around here. If you use a Mac, you're probably not computer literate. That's the first thing we're thinking if you have a Mac. You probably make beats. And nothing to the Mac users. I'm just saying that Windows is the standard in tech. All right, so we can actually go to all of these. Let's log into all of them. And this is what you'll really have to do as a real voice engineer. You would log into your call manager, do whatever you need to do, log into your UCCX interface, do whatever you need to do, You can log into Cisco Finesse if you want to help um, folks from a perspective of like, you know, a manager. Uh, they just gave me the same sign in for everything. Let's see. CUIC, which is reporting. Um, can run reports. Cisco Intelligence Center. Here's that administrator. Maybe that was, yeah, that's good. I thought I put a space in. And you got to be careful with spaces because you'll be like, I put in the right password, but that copy and paste created a space. So you kind of got to make sure. You see, I think that's what happened. And they didn't even catch that. We're going to come into here and you would literally, now you wouldn't probably log into these at the same time. You would log into them as you need them. Um, yeah, they're all the same password, so I don't know why. Let's just see. Okay. Sometimes you just got to do it again. The intelligence centers, let's see. We're not going to go to the collaboration platform because then we're going to go a little too deep. We can go to the present server. Why not? Now, when you first come to a server that you've never been to, you will get this. Now, some people will say, look at this error. Cert authority invalid. They will say, the certificate is invalid. Oh, we got to update it. Woo. Or something's not working. That is not true because you can see right here it expires on March 25th, 2025. And we are in this date. So it's not expired. Sometimes I think what happens, and no one can give me a straight answer, and I'm just going to tell you what I think. I think that your browser, your cookies and cache, sometimes it gets reset. Sometimes your computer is, your browser that you're going into this is new. So it's not going to recognize this internal server up front. But once you log into it, probably a couple times, and you haven't cleared your cache or cookies, you won't get this. You'll just go right into what you need to go into. Uh, but people will say whatever. Just know that you will get this. Let's hide that. You will, oh, sorry, you will get this error. All you have to do is click proceed. It says unsafe, but we know this is a server from our company and we're on VPN or we're on the internal network, so it's okay. And now we can actually sign it. So let's go ahead and get these credentials. And they were just the same as administrator. IM&P stands for instant messaging and presence. We all know what instant messaging is, like a text message. And presence is what it is, what it sounds like, your presence. That's where, if you work a remote job or maybe just an office job, uh, you will probably work with Teams, Microsoft Teams, or maybe some software where it shows green if you're available, like a yellow if you're idle or waiting, and red if you're on a call or busy, maybe white if you're not even logged in or something. So the presence is usually there for people to be in your business. It's like, nah. Um, but it's there to for people to know your presence. Like, okay, is she available? Can I contact? Can I send you a message? And I am. Or does it say yellow that you're away from your desk? Or does it say red that you're busy, you're in a meeting? So maybe I shouldn't send you this message about I need you to run these reports for me. Maybe I'll wait until I see your bubble green or maybe even yellow you know so that's what the presence is. It's just showing the presence of what that person is doing. Um so okay, oh yeah, we can go into CUC again. First time in CUC, all we do is click advance, proceed to our CUC. What is CUC? It is our no need to dive too deep. And like I said, I don't want to make this too long for you guys. I want to kind of, oh, hold on. Okay, there we go. I don't want to make this too long for you guys. I want you to really, like I said, just get an introduction to contact centers. Okay, so let's start with our good old call manager. We went over this yesterday. Call manager, as you can see, this is the GUI, the interface. This is what it'll look like when you start. Give you a nice system version and stuff, and the VMware installation. But again, not going too deep because we went over this yesterday. This is just our main house. This is where we put all our configs in for our calling, inbound calling, and outbound calling. Okay. This will also be where we add our users in for not only just regular calling, but contact center calling. Okay. So we can go in and we can literally, oops, we can go in to UCCX and literally have these configs kind of match up with our uh, call manager configs. And just going through it, obviously the system is all about the system configs, licensing, single sign-on. We know single sign-on. We can just say, oh, let's sign in with Google. We click on Google, click our email. If we're already logged into Google on our browser, we don't have to put in our password and it just goes. So every time we want to sign into the site, we can just say Google, add, click on our already signed in Google email and sign in. That's single sign on instead of literally typing out your email, jessicakw@gmail.com, and then your password, if you guys didn't know. Um, Applications. Earlier, we talked about the scripts. Let me just click on that so you can see. You will see that with certain scripts that we want. Before we can configure these scripts or add them into our configurations, we need to upload the files. These files is literally the audio files of, whatever. You can name it whatever, but I suggest you name it that makes sense to say, hey, thank you for calling the, Texas help desk, whatever. Um, let's see. Again, I don't want to go too deep, so I don't want to bring up too much stuff. Prompt management. Again, that's your language, different types of uh, dialects. So you got U.S., Great Britain. I don't know what CA is. AU probably is like Australia um, or something. I don't know. English, usually English. USA is, what we have, and which is usually pre-configured. If you want another type of language, you add it. But most of the time, we speak English. Let's see. You may have to set up certain triggers, right? Trigger is saying that just what a trigger is. It, sets something up, sets something off. It's an alert to something. Um, we have certain triggers. Basically, if someone was like, I don't know, press, let's say they came to they called, it said press one for sales and they actually pressed one. So that pressing the one would trigger the system to go into this type of queue, which is the sales team queue. The sales team queue will be a collection of sales agents, right? Um, and we add and delete them as needed. Uh, let's see. RMCM, that's usually with the user. We can actually add different groups. Like I said, the sales department, or if you want to talk to customer service or tech support, we can put that into a skill. So we have a finance group, we have a HR group, we got IT tier one, IT tier two, and if you want to make a complaint, so you may hear that prompt when you call. Let's say you guys are calling AT&T to be like, "Hey, why'd you charge me an international fee?" But before you can talk to an agent, you're gonna hear a nice AI voice say, "Hey, thank you for calling AT&T. We're here to help you, yada yada yada." You can always use self-service options at www.myatt.com. You can also woody woody woo. Please stay on the line for more options. You're going to stay on the line, and then it goes like, press 1 for the HR department, press 2 for finance, press 3, and you're going to reach until you reach to where you want to press, and you would press it. Sometimes it will just say, hey, would you like to speak to an operator? Press 0, you press 0, and it goes straight to tier 1. And then tier 1 can only transfer to tier 2. Tier 2 can transfer to HR or finance. Because tier 1 may be like, hey, I tried to fix your issue, but I got to send you over to the billing department. So they're going to treat you, send you over to finance. Or some people call and just be like, I'm here to complain about how bad this service is. Then they butts to complaints. Okay. And we literally create that based off skills and add the folks to these skills. See, just regular skill. Um, Resources. Let me see what resources is talking about. Oh, resources is the actual agents, you can say. These are what's in our skill base. As you can see, is on the team. Our teams are our skills, and then our resources are our agents. So you can see we have Jane Doe. She has an extension 6001. So we can press that extension. We can, somebody in the company could say 6001 and get right to Jane Doe. Or, excuse me, when a call comes into the line for IT tier 1, it will trigger 6001 if she's available. So her phone will, beep, and then she'll have to be like, oh, thank you for calling, woo woo woo, or it can be set up how you want, because sometimes that's more like call center based, where you have to just be attached to the phone and be attached to the computer, and the calls just come through. Sometimes we can set it up to where you can accept or deny a call. Like, you actually have to press, the green button or the accept, take the call, it don't just come through. Certain different ways. Usually those are only two ways that I've actually configured. But as you can see, there are users here with their extensions and the team that they're a part of, finance, HR, you know. Pretty simple. Let me see, resource groups. What's the groups? Like we got to add a group, but usually the groups are here where they're telling you, certain groups where they belong, almost kind of like skill based in a sense, but they don't have more groups here, so I can't expound on what they have going on. Contact center queues, back to the skills. As you can see, these are the queues that we created as skills. We have, as you can see, it's already a skill. This FIFO, I don't know if you guys heard of FIFO before, first in, first out. I actually learned FIFO from going to culinary school. That was like day 1 of going to school. They'd be like, hey, FIFO, first in, first out. We had to write FIFO on things. We had to know that, hey, when you open a bag of cheese and then you buy a new bag of cheese, put that new bag of cheese in the back and put the bag of cheese that you've been using, that you haven't finished, in front. You don't want to just open another bag of cheese when you got one already open, right? So FIFO, the first one in should be the first one out. Um, and when you look at it as call queuing, if Susan, Jane, and Cheryl come to work, they have to start at 8, but Susan clocks in at 7:59, Cheryl clocks in at 8:05, and Jane clocks in at 8:30. You can kind of see the first one who clocked in is the first one who get a call. They're the first one, you're done with your call. Now the next one needs their first call, right? And they'll just go like that in a circle. Um, and you can set the criteria how you want, honestly. You could say the longest idle, whoever was in idle the longest, they need the call to come in first. Um, I don't know, so many different things. Uh, let's see. Assign skills. I think that's something that we would set up as well. Um, let's click into Jane. Okay, so this is where we assign the skills. So let's say Jane was in tier 1, but Jane got a promotion to tier 2. So we would change it. We would come over here, click on tier 2, make sure that goes over here, click that, make sure that goes back over here, and now we can update. Oh, we will have to select a resource group. It's not selected. That's still fine. So she comes down here because she was updated. If we click on it, click on her really quick, we will see that our changes took effect. She's in tier 2 now. So she won't be the first line of defense for customers coming in. She'll be getting calls that are transferred from tier 1 or from whoever else because she's tier 2. Jane can also be like, you know what? She moved to HR because she realized tech wasn't her passion, but snitching on folks was. So she went to HR and boom, we just changed her to HR. Okay. Um, oops. So you have to select it. That's all that error was. I didn't select it. I'm gonna put her back as tier 1 because she really didn't do anything for us. So we're gonna keep her low. But that's pretty simple as you can see. Cisco Finesse. This is kind of uh where we can, for example, create finesse users or create finesse. I want to say resources, but that's not the good term here. Um, this is where we can do the configurations for our call center agents interface. Their interface is called Cisco Finesse. The managers and the agents use it. That's where the phone, again, we can make it how we want, but sometimes that's usually where the phone just pops up and you just have to take it and be like, oh, da 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 da. So, maybe that's where people keep their phone on mute, keep their headset on mute or something so they can run their mouth until a call comes through because it's automatic. Something in that such. But let's just play around here. We got our desktop layout. Hopefully it shows us something. It may not because we haven't configured anything. Phone books. Yeah, we haven't configured much, so it's not going to really tell us anything. But this is usually where we can, like I said, see and manage a lot of the users, the finesse users, the users that are a part of this call center group. Because just because you are a call center agent don't mean you're a finesse agent, You can you can be a part of it as maybe like a second option or just helping out or something that's not so call center where it's like multiple calls coming in. You're taking like 10, 20 calls a day. Usually that's more finesse users who do that. But I really can't show you too much because nothing is configured. So that's just want to show y'all the interface. Too bad we can't see much. Now CUIC, Cisco Unified Intelligence Center. This is where we run our reports. This is where folks, let's say call center, they will say, hey, I need to see who was taking the most calls. I need to see who kept going into idle or not ready or avoiding the calls. Or I may need to see maybe in attendance. I need to see who was logged in because this user, this agent told me that she came from her break on time and I'm ready to fire her. So I need a report on the last 30 days so I can see when she's been going to lunch or when all my users been going to lunch and if they've been coming back late. Um, Sometimes it's not so tedious or so, tattletale. Sometimes it's just the manager just really wants to see like how is my team doing today. We sometimes give them access to run their own reports because they'll drive us crazy, keep putting in requests for us to run reports for them. So if they're like a higher enough manager or more competent manager, we'll give them access. Most of the time, as a manager, you will have access to these things, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just probably don't even want to learn how to run reports. I don't know, but You make friends with someone in the IT, you make friends with someone on the voice side, and you say, hey, Jess, can you run a report for me for yada, yada, yada? And then if we have a good rapport, then yes, I'm going to run it for you because it doesn't take that much time. Um, and I'm not really doing nothing. So reports can be all different types of things. You can click reports. We don't really have anything here. Again, ain't nothing been going on. But you'll see things like live data, what's happening right now in real time. You'll see historical, what's probably happening in the past 30 days or something. And this is the admin center where you can kind of like probably probably configure the different types of reports. But if we go into historical, we can see you want a chat report, email, inbound calls, multi-channel, omni-channel, outbound calls, or a system report. They'd be like, "Oh, give me the inbounds." And then we're like, "Okay, you want inbound calling report? You want it for all the agents? You want reject call details? You want agent details? You want agent state details, the state of the agent. Have they been idle? Have they been available? How many times do they go into break? How many times did they go into not ready? How long was they on this call? Why were they on this call for an hour? You know, um, we can get really granular, right? That's why I tell people like you may try to finesse the game or you may try to be sneaky, but we will always see it. There's not We don't have one person sitting here watching the server. But trust me, everything is recorded and everything's tucked away in our vault and can be called upon at any time. So that's just us and a company. But I've worked for telecommunication companies like T-Mobile, like AT&T. So if you have an AT&T service or Verizon service or Xfinity service, your internet, your phone, the text messages, the search history, the phone calls, all of that is recorded. You sign the terms and conditions for us to record that and keep it in our servers. So in case anybody needs to call upon it, like the police, like the FBI, NASA, anybody, right? When I first got into this, that was the first thing that they told me was like, we usually keep all these reports. So, if the police needs to have an investigation, we have to give them this type of information for any reason. We're just on the IT department. We don't have dealings with all these crazy folks out there in the company. So that's like kind of what stuck in my head. But as I continue to run reports, I continue to configure these servers um, based off the internet and the voice over the internet. I realized that there's nothing that no one knows about. Okay, so this never, you can never say you're sneaky. Somebody just wasn't paying attention. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The only time it can be sneaky, honestly, is if you're on a VPN. Proton VPN, NordVPN, McAfee VPN, Cisco VPN. The VPN encrypts your data so no one can see it. So I would suggest you guys always utilize a VPN when you are accessing the internet or you don't care. But yeah, these are reports. So as you can see, different types of reports such as value lists. That's the definition of these reports. And we have our dashboard. We can configure our dashboard how we want. I think we can, do it how we want, whatever. Analyzer, I think that WebEx, we don't want to go too far into WebEx. WebEx is like Zoom for Cisco. It's their own video conferencing platform. But that's CUIC. And then the presence, like I said, presence, we're not going to get too deep, but it's all about the presence where we get that ready, not ready. Are you on lunch? Is it red? Is it yellow? Is it green? As you can see, we have our presence, we have our settings, um, just little type of routing stuff. Uh, this is really important to understand Federation and XMPP Federation. Federation is just, another system talking and displaying out that data, that media. Media is a type of data that, we can see, hear. So that's why I say media. Messaging, we can set all that up. I didn't mean to click on settings. Um, Application, what type of application we're talking about. We always have a bulk loader. Bulk is, we can work in an environment with 20,000 agents. Are you going to sit and put 20,000 agents in this server one by one? No. You're going to upload about five. No, you're probably going to upload about a thousand at a time and onto an Excel spreadsheet and then upload it through this bulk administration type of ordeal. And you'll upload your 1,000 users. I haven't seen anyone upload anything more than 1,000, honestly. We usually just do it in 1,000 batches just to mitigate any risk, catch any errors. So it's not like, oh, let's just put all 20,000 on this Excel sheet. Let's just put all 10,000. No, we're gonna do it by, just the thousands and 20 times. It usually takes us about 6 months. Sometimes it takes about a year to get everything all transferred over or built up from scratch. So doing it 1,000 at a time is actually pretty okay. And yeah, that's really, it's really just simple configurations. I don't want to go in on how we're going to configure certain things. Like I said, I just wanted to give you, voicemail. I just wanted to give you a look at what these servers look like. Um, when I talk about how I got my CCNA and how I became a voice network engineer, this is what I worked on. And you're probably looking at it like, this is a lot. And that's exactly how I felt on my first two contracts. Okay, well, I can't say. It was a lot. I was just like, okay, this is overwhelming. How do I keep up with all this? What do I do with these passwords when I quit? Oh, it was a lot of questions. Um, but as I kept working in it, as I kept working tickets, and I kept getting new contracts. I started learning and developing the skill set to where I'm able to kind of just flow through it and give you the tea. I'm definitely do not say I'm an expert in this. I'm a professional for sure. I'm past an associate. I can confidently say that. I'm mid tier, I'm intermediate, I'm a professional. I know these things, I can configure it, I can resolve the issues, but expertise as far as like architecting this, designing this, yeah, no. I'm still learning translation patterns and stuff. So I'm never going to say I'm the expert. I know all of this, but I know where you guys are at and where you guys are wanting to get. So this can at least be like the stepping stone, right? Anyway, Cisco Unity voicemail. You don't even have to have a call center to have voicemail. You could just have call manager and voicemail. All people have a voicemail box. You should, what I'm saying? We should. Especially in a company, because you're not always going to catch people just because you called them. They're not always going to answer. Sometimes they're at lunch, sometimes they're on break, sometimes they're on another call. Sometimes they just don't want to answer right now because they're gossiping with their coworker. So they need a voicemail box to have somebody say, "Hey, I tried to reach you. I want to call you about your extended warranty," whatever. So you go through that with setting up a voicemail box, um, and it's pretty straightforward. I mean, as you can see here, I'm just looking through it. You have your users, which is your users who all have voicemail boxes. Again, not everybody will have a voicemail box because some people, maybe it's a security desk. They don't need a voicemail box for what? Like I'm at work, I answer the calls of what you need, and then I go home. I'm not gonna check in and be like, oh, should I, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get an email if it's somebody's important coming, or you'll just get a call and say somebody's important coming, or what you have to do. Excuse me. Warehouses. We have a lot of Cisco devices in warehouses where they don't need a mailbox. They're just needing it to be able to dial out. They maybe the supervisor in the warehouse, all the supervisors may have mailboxes, but nobody, not where everywhere there's a phone. Okay. maybe that's what I should better say. Just because there's a phone configured at that station and it works doesn't mean that it has a voicemail box configured on it for multiple reasons. But as you can see, boom, we have different users, the display name, we have their alias. We can import users, sync users, class of service. Um, Let me see, system distribution list. That's basically uh, the emails that'll automatically come back. You see undeliverable messages. Let me see. Oh, system call handlers. That's a lot what we come into. Um, you don't have to get as intricate as a call center. You can just literally set up a system call handler, which is opening greeting or operator, something very simple, like the press one, press two, press three. You can literally have something like that. It's very simple. I don't have to route, you don't have to get intricate like the UCCX. Um, let's see, directory. Oh, custom recordings. This is where you can add them. Your mailboxes, the storage. We can set it up as how much data you can receive in the storage, where your mailbox is actually stored. If you don't know, the mailbox has to be stored in a database where, you know, on a server, um, and it's stored here. So they have to have some level of storage capabilities. Unified messaging, that's kind of where we integrate Outlook. A lot of companies deal with Outlook as their email. Usually it's not Gmail, it's Outlook. That's usually a company, an enterprise type emailing platform. And in Outlook, Cisco has like a, how can I say this? Like an icon, like a plugin in Outlook for Cisco WebEx and voicemail and all that stuff. And we usually come here and integrate that with that. Um, and yeah, that's really much it. Holiday schedules. I mean, it's all based off of what you are tasked to do. But I've really only been in users just to manage the users or really just take an inventory, system call handlers, and unified messaging services. That's usually what I deal with. Let's see, let me see new call handler. Okay, yeah, we're not gonna go into this. Um, and yeah, that was voicemail. Okay. So just a little recap. We went over call manager, which is the main wheelhouse of all the calls coming in and out of our system. We have UCCX, which is our contact center solution. So we have a call center that we have and calls want to be routed to different agents and we have a high volume of calls, we would probably set something up like this. And this is the server that we would manage that from. Finesse goes along with our call center um, users more on their interface type ordeal. We have our Cisco Unified Intelligence Center, which is where we run reports. We don't even need UCCX to get data. We can get data from, multiple different ways. But usually, we would use that in tandem. You'll get a ticket. Hey, can you run this report for me? And you'll get the report. You'll run it for them. And it'll come in an Excel sheet or a PDF form. So say like CSV or PDF. Excel is always good because you can filter cells, you can, you know, copy and paste in certain cells, you can do certain things with the commands. Um, and then we have our IM and P server. IM instant message, P is present. You may hear IMP, IMMP, instant messaging and presence. It's all the same thing. It's just saying that you can instant message by using a platform called Jabber, and you have a presence to that, which is green, you can talk to me, yellow, I'll be back, red, do not disturb. And lastly, Unity, which is our voicemail solution, our voicemail box for all our users who need voicemail box, right? We make sure that they have a nice greeting. We make sure that they have enough storage to not just have only one or two messages. And we also can set it up to where their voicemails can go to their Outlook, their email, which it can be like transcribed. So instead of hearing it, you can read it. Or it can be emailed to say, hey, you got a new voicemail in, click to listen, or, whatever. I don't know. So many different ways we can do it. But that's voicemail. Um, I think that's about it. Uh, so what I'm gonna do, because I see that I have a lot of notes, that I really didn't go over. Oh, before we do that, lastly, this, let me go to where we got UCCM, UCCX. So when this your first time going to UCCX, the first thing you would really do a lot of the time is come down to your tools, go to your plugins, and in your plugins, you would download your editor. What's the editor? Now, I downloaded it before I started this because I knew it was going to get crazy with the downloads. But this editor is the actual, you can say, quote unquote, coding that you will be doing. We call it scripting, right? So we have two kind of definitions when it comes to scripts. We got a script where someone is saying, their voice, they're giving me a script, they're giving, hey, thank you for calling AT&T. Whether that's an AI voice or whether that's an actual human voice, it's some type of script. It's an audio file. And then we have another type of script, which is this, which is the actual logical formation um, of how the call flow goes. So a caller calls in, they hit the IVR, right? The interactive voice responder, and they say, how can I help you? Just say it in a few words. Talk to customer service, right? Once they hit the IVR, they are triggered to have certain, um, to go to certain departments to get certain resources, whether that resource is a recording of information or that resource is an actual human being or that resource is a voicemail box. But regardless, this is something that I kind of wanted to show you guys. That's actually a really big part of UCCX. But this is just part one. Like I said, I want to really show you guys configuring later. But we have, it looks just like this, the UCCX editor, and we have these things that we can add. So we can add, you know, time of day, labels, triggers, um, let me see, users, prompts, right? So probably what we would start with, let me see, where's my browser? Let's go to, because this just reminded me right here. So if we scroll all the way down, hold on, let me see. Yeah, we scroll all the way down here. And I may give this guys to you if you want to set up your own labs because I just booked this. It was free. Didn't cost anything. So you can set up your own lab and literally go through all of these things. Okay, here's the editor. I downloaded that. Okay, cool. So if we come into here, I can't even blow this up. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, okay. So if we go into here, we can say start simple queuing and let's go into here. Let's do, let's go to, oops, I don't see anything. Oh, ICM. No, we don't want that. I kind of wanted to see if maybe I can recreate something for you guys. I usually just open up all of these things because okay, there we go. We got accept. We got call on hold. Right? Like we literally map out everything. Okay, we got media. You want the menu. You want to play recording. Oops. Um, you want to do play prompt, you know. Uh, let's see. What other settings can I show you? Maybe label. Um, I mean, we can do new if you want. I wish I had a file I can open it and show you guys. There's not really much configs on here, so I can't really show you the exact setup. Yeah, links. Oh, General, I should have went to IVR. That could have had something that could show you something. Again, I'm just trying to show you at least kind of what it looks like before we go in and start configuring things. As you see, I have the circle of blue. But if anybody have any questions, you're more than welcome to unmute, ask any questions that you have, that you are confused about or want to see more on. Okay, so we can start and then we can add an accept, right? Um, let's add an accept. So the start is the call. Boom, it starts because you dialed the number that needed to be dialed. Then we accept it, triggering contact, which is the 1-800 line. Let me go back. So we got play prompt. Where to play prompt at? Play prompt. Boom. So once we accept the call, because you called our triggering contact, which is our 800 number, now you get da-da-da. Welcome to AT&T. How may I direct your call or whatever? I don't know. So play prompt, whatever prompt they say. And then you select a resource. Where my select resource at? Oh, hold on. Maybe it's something before then. Nope. It's actually the select resource. Um, select resource, right? We know what a resource is because we looked into UCCX and we saw resources. The resources were agents. We expand that and we have connected and queued. Let's see what our little diagram says. Connected and queued. Once it's queued, we go into this cube loop and play prompt. Let's get a play prompt together. Um, where's the play prompt? I told you it's been a minute since I've been in here. I don't know where this stuff at. Oh, I just had it. There we go. So it's queued. We gonna play prompt. Actually, we got a loop. Where that loop is. Go to, we got a label. Maybe that's a label where that loop at because I don't see it. Let me see. Yeah, I think you have to manually create that. So we can go to label, put that up here. We gonna queue that, whatever that label is. What else we got? Delay and go to. Where's my delay? So after you play the prompt, which is, so you played the prompt in the beginning, which is thank you for calling AT&T, whatever, whatever. And then once you say, hey, you press 0 to speak to an operator. Now it's connected. Your call connected to the operator line. That was our internal line, our trigger. Once the trigger went off, now you're queued. You're in the queue. Probably hear some hold music. Please wait while an available agent is here to assist you or something. And then that's the play prompt. And you're going to delay. The delay is waiting for the next available agent, whether that's the longest idle agent, whether that's the first in, first out agent. Well, you saw the configs. It's FIFO, first in, first out. So it's going to delay until it finds an available agent. And then once it finds the agent, it's going to got to put a go to the agent. All right. Then once it goes to the agent, they're gonna have a nice little conversation, and then we're gonna end the call. And that is a very simple call flow because sometimes they'll be like, put the time of day because on Saturdays we open here and on Sundays, and then it's Labor Day coming up. So can you change my time of day for Labor Day? It can get crazy. Day of the week, as you can see, boom, calendar. Ugh, these things get so crazy. But yeah, at least I was able to show you guys before this lesson end on the actual scripting that we do as a voice network engineer. This is probably about the most type of scripting or coding you will really do. Most of it, like you saw, we're just pressing save, pressing go, pressing back. But here, this is what we call our code. We're coding, we're scripting is what we call. Like, yeah, I'm writing a script, and you see, we're just connecting stuff. Okay, and then real quick, debug, right? You can say start, but we're not going, it's not even thing, but you can say start and it'll go through it and be like, okay, that went good, that good, that good, that good, that's good, that's good. If it's not good, it'll tell you right here, like, oh, something's wrong with this area. Your play prompt is not a good prompt. Your delay didn't really delay. This queue, I didn't get queued. Something is going to tell you in this interface right here. That's where all this white space is for. That's why I said I don't understand why old dude didn't want to debug because you got all this space here. What you think is just taking up space for something? He probably did like this and was like, I don't see the white space. What white space? Fucking idiot. Okay, yeah, so, and I'm only mad at him because he made me do so much work. Now that I go back on it, like you just made me do so much work. So, oops. Yes, that is UCCX. Okay. Um, I think that's really it that I wanted to cover. Like I said, I'm going to go through these notes, these Word docs. I think they're awesome, as you can see, and put them in at least our boot camp edition for all the people that's in it. You can, have a resource. For all those who's not in the boot camp, what I'll probably do is upload it to my Gumroad so you guys can download it from there. But let me get it together, let me organize it, make it pretty, and then boom. So yeah, if you ever need help with learning how to set up a lab or just go through a Cisco lab, please don't hesitate, reach out. I am available and we can do things like this, which is